Hey, coin lovers and collectors! Welcome back to the channel. If you're into rare and valuable coins, then today's video is going to blow your mind. We've got a gem that you might have missed, one that could be hiding in your pocket change or tucked away in your coin jar. This particular coin might look like just another quarter at first, but when you dig a little deeper, you'll see that the 1988 United States quarter dollar with the D mint mark is not only rare but could be worth an unbelievable amount of money. And now, I know what you're thinking, a 1988 quarter? Really? What makes that so special? Well, let me tell you, this coin has a fascinating backstory and a minting error that has captured the attention of coin collectors everywhere. So, if you're someone who loves discovering hidden treasures and is serious about building your coin collection, you'll definitely want to pay close attention. You never know, you might just have one of these rare quarters sitting in your collection right now. But let's start with a little bit of history. The 1988 quarter is part of the Washington Quarter series, which was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the years, these quarters have become a staple of U.S. currency, but it's the 1988 issue that has become particularly interesting to collectors. So, what makes this particular quarter from 1988 stand out? The answer lies in a minting error that occurred during production. In some 1988 D quarters, there was a mistake in the die used to strike the coins, which led to what's known as the die crack error. This error creates an interesting feature on the coin, an actual crack that appears across the coin's surface. The crack can be found running through George Washington's face or across the lettering, which is an unusual and very noticeable feature. And while these errors might seem small, they're incredibly significant in the world of numismatics. The reason why this particular error is so highly prized is that die cracks are rare and not something you find on every coin, but that's not all. Another reason the 1988 D quarter is so valuable is because of its overall rarity. While the 1988 quarters were produced in large numbers, very few of them experienced this error. The fact that these quarters weren't perfectly struck makes them stand out. Collectors are always looking for these unique and imperfect coins because they tell the story of how they were made. Every minting error adds character to a coin, and collectors love that uniqueness. The more you learn about the world of coin collecting, the more you'll realize that it's not just about finding a coin in good condition, it's about finding a coin that has a story to tell, and the 1988 D quarter has a great one. But here's the real kicker: despite the fact that the 1988 D quarter is a relatively modern coin, it has a value that might just blow your mind. Even in average circulated condition, the 1988 D quarter with a die crack can be worth significantly more than its face value. But if you happen to come across one that's in great condition, well, that's where things get really exciting. And now for the big reveal. If you manage to find a 1988 D quarter in excellent, uncirculated condition, or one with a notable die crack, you could be holding onto a coin worth an astounding $79,000. Yes, you heard that right, $79,000 for a single quarter. That's right, a coin that originally only had a face value of 25 cents could fetch you a small fortune. It's amazing to think that a quarter from 1988, something that most people would overlook or discard as just another piece of pocket change, could hold such immense value. But this is the beauty of coin collecting. Sometimes, you don't need to search far and wide for a rare find. With the right knowledge, a little bit of luck, and a sharp eye, the treasure you're looking for might be right under your nose or in your wallet. So, what should you do if you think you found a 1988 D quarter with the die crack or in excellent condition? Well, the first step is to carefully inspect the coin. Look for signs of the die crack, particularly around George Washington's portrait and the surrounding text. Pay attention to the overall condition of the coin as well. A well-preserved coin with minimal wear will be far more valuable than one that's heavily circulated or damaged. If you're unsure, it's always a good idea to have the coin professionally graded by a reputable service. This will ensure you get an accurate assessment of its value. In conclusion, the 1988 United States quarter dollar with the D mint mark is a hidden gem in the world of coin collecting. While it might seem like just another run-of-the-mill quarter, its rarity, minting errors, and condition can make it a coin worth far more than you ever thought possible. So, the next time you're digging through your coin jar or looking through your change, take a second to examine your 1988 quarters closely. You never know, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. Top 2 2007 United States quarter dollar with the P mint mark. At first glance, this coin might look like any other quarter, but trust me, this one holds some serious potential. Stick around as we dig deep into what makes this 2007 quarter so rare, valuable, and incredibly sought after by collectors. Let's take a step back and first talk about the context of the 2007 quarter. This coin is part of the United States Mint's 50-state quarters program, which was issued from 1999 to 2008. Each year, 5 new designs were released, celebrating a different state in the U.S. and its unique history or landmarks. For 2007, the 5 states featured on the quarters were Montana, Washington, Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah. The design for each state's quarter was chosen to reflect something iconic about that state, from the mountains of Wyoming to the famous geysers in Yellowstone National Park in Montana. And now, you might be thinking, that's nice, but what makes the 2007 quarter so special? Well, let me tell you, this quarter holds a hidden gem that not every collector is aware of. The 2007 P Mint Mark quarter, while part of a large mintage, contains a few rare features that can make it worth far more than the average 25-cent piece. Here's where things get exciting. The main factor that makes the 2007 P quarter valuable is a rare minting error that has caught the attention of seasoned numismatists and collectors alike. Some of these quarters were struck with a distinctive die error, known as a doubled die variety. This error causes the design elements, especially the lettering and the state's image, to appear doubled, almost like a shadow effect. The doubling is subtle but visible under the right conditions. It's an issue that occurred when the coin was struck, causing the dies to misalign, resulting in the doubled appearance. Now, this may sound like a small flaw, but in the world of coin collecting, such errors are highly prized. Doubled die coins are some of the most sought-after errors in the hobby because they are relatively rare and have a story behind them. These coins weren't supposed to be like this, they are a piece of minting history, and their imperfection is exactly what makes them so desirable. But wait, there's more. The value of this particular 2007 P quarter isn't just driven by the doubled die error. The condition of the coin also plays a crucial role in its worth. Like most collectibles, the rarer and more pristine the condition, the more valuable it becomes. Coins that have been well preserved, free from scratches, dents, or signs of wear, are the ones that fetch the highest prices at auctions or among private collectors. Coins with these minting errors, in uncirculated or near mint condition, can command a significant premium. Now, here's where you need to pay close attention. If you happen to come across a 2007 P quarter with the double die error, and it's in excellent condition, you could be holding a coin that is worth a fortune. And no, I'm not just talking about a few extra bucks. This coin can be worth a staggering $73,000. That's right, $73,000 for a single 25-cent coin. Can you imagine going through your change and finding a coin that could put a significant amount of money in your pocket? It's one of those moments that coin collectors dream about. And while these coins are rare, they aren't impossible to find, especially if you know exactly what to look for. So, how can you tell if you found one of these rare 2007 P quarters with the double die error? The key is to examine the coin closely. The most noticeable feature will be the doubling in the text and design. Look carefully at the lettering, especially in the word E pluribus unum and the state name. If you see a faint second set of letters or an extra line of detail around the design, you may have stumbled upon a doubled die coin. It's essential to use magnification tools or a good loupe to spot these subtle errors. The better the condition, the higher the value, so be sure to inspect the surface for signs of wear or tarnishing, which can lower the coin's worth. If you do find one of these rare coins, it's a great idea to have it professionally graded by a trusted numismatic grading service. This will authenticate the coin and ensure that it's evaluated based on its true rarity and condition. Once you have a graded coin, you can confidently showcase it in your collection or even sell it to the highest bidder at an auction, where collectors will be eager to get their hands on a piece of history. In conclusion, the 2007 United States quarter dollar with the P Mint mark may seem like a regular quarter at first, but with the right eyes and a bit of knowledge, it can turn out to be one of the most valuable finds you'll ever make. Whether it's the doubled die error or the condition of the coin, this particular quarter has all the right ingredients to make it a true treasure. So next time you go through your change or coin collection, take a second look, because you never know, you might just be sitting on a $73,000 worth of history. Top 3 today, we're talking about the 1986 United States quarter dollar. At first glance, this may seem like just another modern quarter, but as we'll discover, there's much more to this coin than meets the eye. In fact, if you're a collector or someone who's been gathering coins for a while, the 1986 quarter could be worth more than you could ever imagine. Now, before we get into the specifics, let's take a quick trip back to 1986. The world was a very different place back then. Reagan was in office, the Space Shuttle Challenger tragically exploded, and pop culture was booming with the release of Top Gun and the launch of the iconic The Oprah Winfrey Show. In terms of U.S. currency, the 1986 quarter was part of a continuous run of coins produced with the familiar Washington design on the obverse. The reverse of the coin, however, was part of a tradition that had been in place for decades, with no major changes to the coin's appearance at that time. While the 1986 quarter wasn't a new or groundbreaking design, what makes this particular coin stand out is not the design itself, but rather the way it was struck and the possibility of errors that occurred during production. The key to the 1986 quarter's rarity and value lies in these minting errors, some of which could turn your standard 25-cent coin into a treasure worth much, much more. So, what makes the 1986 quarter so special, and why should collectors take notice of it? First, let's talk about the rare minting errors that make this coin so desirable. When you hear about valuable coins, you often hear about errors, and for good reason. Those errors can make a coin incredibly rare and valuable. One of the most notable errors that can be found on 1986 quarters is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once, causing the image to appear slightly doubled. The most noticeable place to find this error is in the date and the lettering, such as Liberty and In God We Trust. These coins stand out to collectors because they are not like any other quarters produced that year. If you happen to have one of these, you found something that could be worth far more than a standard 25-cent coin. In addition to the double die error, another potential issue with the 1986 quarter is the misaligned die. When a coin is struck off-center, you end up with a quarter where the design appears to be slightly tilted or misplaced. It's a subtle error that only the trained eye can catch, but when you spot one, it can be a sign that the coin is a rare find. Misaligned die coins are desirable because they are unique and one of a kind. If you're lucky enough to come across a 1986 quarter with a misaligned die, especially one that's noticeable to the eye, you could be sitting on a rare and valuable piece of U.S. currency. But it's not just the minting errors that could make the 1986 quarter valuable. Another important factor is the condition of the coin. Like any other coin, a well-preserved 1986 quarter in near mint or uncirculated condition can be worth more than a coin that's been worn down over time. Because quarters are regularly used in daily transactions, most of the 1986 quarters that are out there have experienced some level of wear. However, finding a 1986 quarter in pristine condition, one that has sharp details, no scratches, and no discoloration, makes it more attractive to collectors. Coins that have been well preserved can command much higher prices, and this applies to the 1986 quarter as well. So, what exactly can you expect a 1986 quarter to be worth? While most 1986 quarters are worth just their face value of 25 cents, there are those rare examples with minting errors or in excellent condition that can fetch a much higher price. It all depends on the rarity of the error and the condition of the coin. And now, the big question: how much could a rare 1986 quarter be worth? If you happen to have one of the highly coveted error coins, or if your coin is in pristine condition, you could be looking at a value of up to $71,000. Yes, you heard that right, $71,000 for a single 1986 quarter. While that's not something you'll see every day, it's possible if you've got a coin with a notable minting error or one that's been impeccably preserved. Coin collectors and investors know that the value of rare coins like this can skyrocket, especially if they're one of a kind, with error characteristics or pristine details that make them stand out in the marketplace. So, what should you do if you think you found one of these rare 1986 quarters? The first step is to carefully inspect the coin. Look for any signs of errors, like double die strikes or misaligned die issues. Check the weight as well, as a coin that's unusually heavy or light could be another clue. If you find that your quarter is in fantastic condition with no visible wear, it could be worth a lot more than a standard quarter. The next step is to have the coin professionally graded by a certified numismatist. A professional grading service can evaluate the condition of the coin and confirm whether it's worth a premium price. Coin collectors around the world are always on the lookout for rare and unique pieces, so if you find a 1986 quarter with any kind of error or in top condition, you might just have a valuable coin on your hands. If you've been collecting coins for a while, or if you're just starting out, the 1986 quarter is definitely one to keep an eye on. Thank you for joining us in today's video. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1986 quarter and want to learn more about rare coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a coin discovery. Top 4 2021 United States quarter dollar with the P mint mark. Now, you might think, it's just another modern quarter, right? Well, think again. This coin holds secrets and hidden value that could leave you stunned, and by the end of this video, you'll be wishing you had one in your collection. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Let's dive into the background of this remarkable coin. The 2021 quarter is part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which celebrates our nation's most iconic national parks and landmarks. Each year, 5 new designs are released to honor a different park, with the 2021 series focusing on the beautiful, historical, and cultural gems across the United States. The design for 2021 represents the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site in Alabama, a tribute to the brave African-American pilots who fought during World War II. It's a design that reflects our country's rich history and dedication to honoring those who paved the way for future generations. And now, you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting, but what makes the 2021 P quarter so special? Well, there's more to this coin than just its design. In fact, it's the rarity and the potential for errors that make this coin a standout. While most coins from the 2021 series were struck with the intended design and minting process, some of these quarters have experienced unique errors that have made them extraordinarily valuable in the world of numismatics. One of the most sought-after features of this 2021 quarter is the possibility of minting flaws. These flaws may include things like die cracks, misstrikes, or even more exciting, doubling errors. A doubling error happens when the dies used to strike the coin shift slightly during the minting process, causing the image and text to appear twice, giving the coin a double impression. This type of error is incredibly rare, and coins with this kind of mistake are highly desirable among collectors because of their uniqueness and the rarity of the error, but that's not all. Another feature that can make this coin particularly valuable is the condition it's in. As with any collectible, the better the condition, the more it's worth. The 2021 P quarter, like any coin, was widely circulated after its release, meaning that most you'll come across will show some level of wear and tear. However, if you find one that has remained in pristine, uncirculated condition, perhaps even with a doubling error or another flaw, you've got yourself a true rarity. A well-preserved 2021 quarter, with no signs of wear and featuring one of these minting errors, could see its value skyrocket in the market. The 2021 P quarter stands as a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can transform into something extraordinary due to the flaws in the minting process. When these coins first came off the presses, they were part of a larger batch of regular coins. But through errors or unique circumstances during the production, certain ones have been set apart as the ones that collectors desperately want to get their hands on. So, let's talk about the potential value of this quarter. If you're lucky enough to find a 2021 P quarter with a significant minting error, such as a doubling effect, and it's in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could be sitting on a coin worth $70,000. Yes, you heard that right, $70,000 for a quarter. It might sound unbelievable, but that's the magic of rare minting errors and the world of coin collecting. A small mistake made by the US Mint could end up being the reason why a seemingly ordinary coin becomes worth a small fortune. Now, how can you tell if you found one of these valuable coins? It's all about inspecting the details closely. If you're examining a 2021 P quarter and notice that the design seems to have a double effect, especially in the lettering or in the state's image, you might be looking at a doubling error. You'll want to look for signs like extra outlines around the text, the state name, or even the elements of the central design. Sometimes, these errors can be subtle, so make sure you've got a good magnifying glass or loupe to get a close-up look at the coin's surface. Another thing to keep in mind is the condition of the coin. The more pristine it is, the more likely it is to fetch a higher price. Coins that show little to no signs of wear are considered far more valuable than those that have been circulated heavily. Even a slight scratch or dent can drastically reduce the value of a rare coin, so it's important to handle these types of coins carefully and store them properly. If you think you found one of these rare 2021 P quarters with a minting error, it's a good idea to have it professionally graded. A reputable numismatic grading service can verify the authenticity of the coin and assess its condition. Once graded, you'll know exactly what you have on your hands, and if the coin passes with a high grade and significant error, it could end up being a valuable addition to your collection. In the world of coin collecting, it's all about spotting the rare, the unique, and the errors that others might overlook. The 2021 P quarter, with its potential minting mistakes and the possibility of being in uncirculated condition, is a perfect example of how you could turn a simple quarter into a collector's dream. So, the next time you go through your change or your coin collection, take a moment to look closely at your 2021 P quarters. Look for the minting errors, examine the condition, and who knows, you might just be holding onto a coin that could be worth $70,000. Thanks for tuning in to this exciting treasure hunt. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about the fascinating world of rare coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Keep on collecting, and remember, your next big find could be just around the corner.